I want you to kind of take this over because last week we went to Jersey to support you in the passing of your father.
Yes.
And I asked you before we recorded if you wanted to talk about that, and you said you did. And it was important for Alexandra and I to be there because you have always been there for us, especially when my dad died, and of course, me and Ronnie, your sister and brother. So, so go ahead and share Go ahead and just share what it is you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, first off, it was amazing seeing you there. Like it literally reset everything in my brain, so I didn't know how to act. But I didn't realize how much I needed that support there, because I was just filled with all types, because, losing a father, you're just filled with all these types of emotion. And with the past that we had, me and my father had, it was just all over the place. So when you showed up with Alex, I was like, oh, there's a piece of home here, so it really, when they say a good family is like an anchor, ain't no lie, dude. I sat there like, okay, I'm anchored. Yeah. I'm good. I was able to handle it and control, a lot of the high emotions and work through it. So yeah, I wanted to, I don't want to deep dive into whole past issues with my father, but I just want to talk about, like, it's crazy how different we all process loss, emotions, and stuff like that. So especially, I don't want to make this a just men's channel, but it is something else, the way guys deal with emotion. Like for me, I just go quiet and get inside my head, and I have to get busy. If I'm not busy, then I'm sitting there thinking, and it starts to gather and start to, build. And I get angry, you got the anger starts building up. So the last thing I need is to be there around my family for something that they didn't cause. You see what I'm saying? So,
right.
And also you carry, being fathers, being males in a household, we carry this, we have an image to uphold, as the strength of the household, or the anchor, shield of the household, the anchor. Yeah, exactly. So when Ronnie's teaching me this, she's like, you gotta learn how to talk, you gotta learn how to express emotions. But I'm like, but part of me is like, if I express emotion, it shows part of my weakness, and then my kids are going to see it, and think, it's just going to domino effect. But that's not the case. It's just something that society has given us to walk with, and that's something that I'm slowly working on, because it is an uphill battle. But it is a societal image that we have to uphold. For what reason? You know what I mean? Because then we teach our kids that. And luckily, my wife has been amazing with teaching my kids and how to speak, how to talk, because even they come to me and say, Dad, what's up? Talk to me. It's okay to show emotion. It's okay to speak. But, as you saw, good old Patterson, the humble beginnings, emotions is what gets you into trouble. You can't show that type of emotion in places like that, because they eat you alive for that shit. So
yeah,
being raised in that type of environment, growing and then just dealing with it. So now I'm in an age where I have my own boys. I don't want them to go through this whole societal patriarch shit of the man of the house has to show, courage and emotionalness and just deal with it, so because it's a struggle, because we can say all we want and say we're not dealing with it. We can say all we want that emotions are weak. We can say that we're strong enough, but in reality we're really not. In reality, it just starts to build, it starts to get heavy, and after a while we're not subconsciously we're reacting to what we have issues with, and be it at a snapping point, like we'll snap at other people for no reason. We look for not violence, but we look for a fight, an argument, just because helps us get it out. We look for things that work. We avoid, because we're so involved with work. So we use that to avoid our emotions. We use that to avoid our household. We'll leave the house for some reasons, like, oh, I gotta mow the grass, even though the grass is pristine. I'm gonna mow the grass and work on the lawnmower. That's how you deal with emotions. But yet you when you do that, you step out, you leave your family behind, and they're sitting there waiting for you to get back. There's more to it than just like, it's easier if it was just me. It was just me. I can just be completely involved and don't ever have to think about it. But it's not just me, and that's what I need to get used to, not used to, but understand that when I leave or when I get too busy in a project, or because I don't want to feel it, I don't want to talk about it. What's the point of talking? That my whole theory is, what's the point of talking about it? What's it going to fix? And that's wrong. It actually does help. It does fix, but I need to understand that. Like, I understand it up here, but down here it's
practicing it's different.
Yeah, that's a difference. Like, I can teach somebody physical therapy. I can teach somebody how to get stronger, but if this doesn't connect with this, you won't lift, you won't do workouts, you won't eat right. You know what you do, you know what to do. Sorry. The steps. We're not dumb. We understand what needs to happen, but we have this image to uphold.
Right.
And sometimes this image is what breaks us. Sometimes this image is what puts that nail into our marriage, puts that nail into our relationship with our kids. They see us snap, they see us, get quiet. That's the other kick, because sometimes it's not all about yelling and screaming. Sometimes the hardest one is when you're completely quiet and disconnected. That's my problem. It's where I just cut everything and I just don't want to talk about it. Just sit there on the couch and watch TV or paint my Warhammer characters, which honestly is therapeutic. But because then my son comes. The one thing about painting the Warhammer characters is, at first it was my solo thing where I can just forget. But after my father's death, I would paint, and then my sons would come down and paint with me, and just we'll put on something on YouTube, like a little show or something about lore that we're paying attention to, but we're not, kind of background music. And we have these moments of quiet moments that are filled with, serenity. Yeah. Like, we just sit there and just paint, and he's talking about, the colors and the paints, and Michael will come down and talk about his ideas, his movie ideas or action scenes ideas. And we just talk, and it's like, wow, I didn't realize how much I need this, and how healing that is to sit there and quietly, but also express, our thoughts, our unfiltered time together. So we need to get into a point in this new age that it's all right to talk, it's all right to express, but it's hard to put down the hammer.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things I've learned is that it's a balancing act of both, because one of the things I told Alexandra is that as much as I am able to share a lot, it's very difficult to share it all. And I may never really be able to 1000% share it all, because as a man, I'm just protective of my family and what my sharing, how will that impact the family? So as a man, you're programmed to be like, don't worry about me. I'm going to worry about you, but don't worry about me. Where I feel like now I'm at a point where I know that's not healthy, but I don't think I can ever really give it all to you, because as a man, instinctively, just a man, it's not even society, it's just a man is really just going to be like, I got you. And
Yeah.
I need to, if anything, really open up and be transparent with my wife and make sure she knows I'm okay. And my children to a degree, but there's always just that little bit of like, as a man, it's just like I'll share everything with my wife and my kids, and we're transparent, and my kids know where I am, and I talk about like my anxiety, and I share with them things that I never heard from my dad. But then there's always like a little silver lining of, but I'm okay, don't worry about me. And I think as a man, I think for me anyway, I look at it like the sweet spot for me is how can I get to the spot where I can be available to my kids emotionally way more than what my parents were, but not put myself in a compromising position where my kids don't want to share anything with me because they don't want me to worry, because they don't want me to stress, because I've been open about my anxiety. You see what I'm saying? So there's like a lot of levels that I think and I only bring up as a man because we have a 93% demographic of the podcast that's male. I'm not blind to that. Even though we really want to have open conversations where both men and women or non-binary, they can relate, but I'm aware that men are listening and watching because we talk from a male's perspective, a men's perspective, a husband's perspective, a father's perspective. So it's 1000% important to be like, this is where I am. This is what I'm dealing with. You're right. There's a lot of times where being silent is like the default because you're just trying to internalize and figure it out on your own, because a lot of us are used to doing that. And I feel like when you're painting your Warhammer shit, or when guys they do cut the grass, that's therapeutic too in a way too. It's but it's just like don't look for that, and not look for other avenues as well. Like you figure growing up, like generations before us, especially men of color that were coming from different areas of the world that were coming to America. In our case, from Puerto Rico, they didn't know the language, but they had that male instinct to take care of their family. Didn't know how to do anything but work, and didn't know how to vocalize their emotions. So there was a lot of drinking involved, or a lot of drug use, or things that.
Gambling,
things that that took the man away because he didn't know how to. So I think like we are doing a hell of a job, considering where our like grandfathers and great grandfathers were. I think we're doing a hell of a job. But there's always like this: how can I get my children to level up, especially the boys, especially Caden and Gabi and Michael and Rafi? Like, how do we get them to where, because you, as a man, you don't want your son to you don't want him to lose being a man. And I hate saying it that way. Yeah, but because I'm not trying to be dismissive, or I'm not trying to. I can't even think of the name right now. I'm not trying to be a male chauvinistic pig. As a man, you want your son to be emotionally available, but also like. There comes a point where you're like, all right, we got to go. But how do we do that without dismissing how we're feeling inside as well? So it's like this balancing act. You know what I mean? And I think you're doing a hell of a job. That's why it was important for us to be there Saturday. And that's why I handled that with Ronnie, because I didn't want to really bombard you with it, because I know how you are. Because I know like instinctively you're just going to be like, don't worry about it. I don't want it. But it was more so like, but it just needed to be. And sometimes other people need to make that decision for you, because you're just not in that position, because you've got other things that you're dealing with. And at that time it was your father and the emotional roller coaster of the relationship that you had with him. It was going back to Paterson, New Jersey. It was being in that environment. It's a tidal wave of emotions that you're not really aware of until that moment comes, and you're hearing words, and you're hearing your loved one being referred to in the past tense, or it's like, it's a weird like, oh, I thought I could handle this, but this is actually hitting me now. And just having somebody there, like you said, to anchor you, like just being there, not even saying anything, not just being there, knowing like we got you. Because at the end of the day, as men, like we want that, even though we're not gonna like vocalize and we're not gonna be like I need it, but we're gonna be like I need it. You know what I mean?
It was something, like I said, it was a new. It was experiencing that and being aware of it. Being aware, like, oh shit, I needed this. Like, because you're right. I already told Ronnie was pulling out sending out the feelers to see if you wanted to come up. And I was like, no, I don't want him to be there, to deal with all that. Just because, that's part of me just trying to keep, my people safe from high emotions and stuff like that. So, but realizing that, I'm sitting there like, wow, I didn't realize how much this was needed, and it's something that it was a new level of learning, even for myself, that I'm hoping to pass to the boys. Like, accept it.
Yeah.
If somebody's willing to be there for you, just say yes. Just don't have to make it this whole, emotion thing. Just say yes, because it will be an emotion thing that you realize you needed.
Yeah.
You needed that anchor, you needed that support. And honestly, I always thought in a sense of, we'll sit there and kumbaya and talk and all that, but it's not that case. There's emotional support where it's just complete silence.
Yeah.
Emotional support of just presence, the presence of it. And I think that's what, as, in our roles that we appreciate, it's just that presence, and we don't realize we appreciate it until it happens, So I think that's something that it's a good start as men for us to realize, just get that support. Yeah, even if it's a silent support, understand and recognize that it is that support. And you're right, we live through our lives, and the choice words of saying like male chauvinistic, we, even if it's not male, we fit a role. We all play a role in this world. It's a role that we fit in, being the role of the head of the household, the alpha, all that other crap that's labeled up. But it's something that we accept. Regardless of who you are, it's a role that you accept, and we take that role serious, to the death is what it is, because we have a role of the protector. We have that role. Do we choose that role? Yeah, fuck yeah, we choose that role. Do we want that role when we have it? Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We don't know that we want it until we have it, and then we're going to do everything we can to keep it.
Right.
Ain't nothing, the role of the protector, the role of the leader, the role of the alpha, if you want to call it. And that's
the instinctive thing I was referring to. It's like it's just not a matter of, is this right or wrong? It's a matter of, this is just how it is for me.
Yeah, because, like, let's be honest, men and women can be protectors. Like, it doesn't have to be just the husband or the man of the house. There's literally, it's not even a man or woman thing. It is a role thing.
Right.
When you assume the role of the protector, assume the role of the quote unquote alpha, because being an alpha doesn't have to be a guy thing. Being an alpha is the leader of the pack, regardless of what it is, you assume that role. And when you have that role, or that role is blessed upon you, you're going to do everything you can to keep it, because you understand not because you're being cocky about it, not because you're being like prideful about it. You are given a responsibility to maintain and make sure that the pack continues to survive. Like the whole, I love the reconstruction, or actually no, the truth about the alpha and the wolf pack. The one who wrote the original study in regards to the alpha is always up front, admitted that he was wrong. And studies show that it's not the alpha who's in the front.
Back. Yeah.
He's in the back. So, yeah, he's fucking tired because he's keeping up and making sure everybody's staying in line. The older wolves are falling behind, so he stays and pushes them forward. He stays in the back and makes sure there's nobody sneaking up to attack the pack. And the leader is the female. She's up front. She's making sure the way is clear. Like, it's amazing how just this simplicity of this setup, writes how we are as a family, writes how we are in our roles, So imagine being in the back and you're alone as the alpha, as the male, as the alpha, as a role of the protector, of the guider, of this, the, what do you call it when the provider, and you're alone in the back. So of course you're going to be like, yep, no, I'm good, because I don't want the pack to look at me and think, oh, he's falling behind. Oh, he seems emotional. What's going on back there? Like, they need to keep moving forward. But if you really study it, the female, or the partner, let's just say that the partner of the wolf comes over and checks the alpha. Hey, how you doing? All right, I'm going to go back up. When you say I'm good. Or they keep checking. Even though they know you're not good, they keep checking regardless. Like, even when there's a battle or a fight, it's known that the female wolf will go. She's not cowering underneath the male wolf. She's actually going underneath the wolf to protect its neck, because that's where other attackers will attack. They'll attack the neck of the wolf. So they actually will go underneath the alpha's neck to protect it. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's no conversation. Obviously, they're wolves. They're not going to be like, hey, what are you doing? There's none of that. It's just a simple presence. And that's what we need to take from this, the simple presence of your partner coming in and protecting your neck. Yeah. Essentially, metaphor to your emotions, metaphor to your well-being. They protect your neck. That presence, it needs to be acknowledged and realized, like, oh shit, this is what I need. And when you start there, you start to realize that your walls start coming down. You start to realize that you're going to talk more. You start to realize that you're going to speak more to your kids. Try to speak more to your spouse, And to me, the reason, when I don't speak a lot is because, especially to your spouse, is you don't want your spouse to see you as the weakness. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we tend to pull away more from our spouses than we do our kids. Our kids we show because we're trying to teach, we're trying to help grow and nurture, but our spouses see us for exactly who we are. So when we get into these depression states, when we get into the anxiety states, when we get to these, sad, somber states, we are showing our spouse exactly who we are. And that, to a lot of people, is like, whoa, you are wasting too much. I need to back off. So you go to work, you stay there extra longer. You stay longer in the garage doing,
you go to the bar after
you go to the bar, you start to drink, you start to do extracurricular activities because you're running away from your spouse. And you're not running away from them per se. You're running away from the fact that they literally see you. They know exactly who you are, and you don't want them to see you like that. You see what I'm saying? So it's a battle, because you don't want to lose your role, especially this role that's, like I said, and it is a blessing. It's a role that you have. You don't want to lose it. So when you think you're going to lose it, you're going to do things to try to prevent that. And sometimes those things are more harmful than good. So it's a learning lesson.
I like it. You got to protect your neck, little Wu-Tang in there.
Yeah, protect your neck.
Protect your neck. No, I love it, man. I appreciate that. That's why I let you speak, because, we have a lot of shenanigans and whatnot, but we also have a lot of deep conversations, and I wanted people to know that, sometimes life forces you to slow down and have these conversations. And I felt like, the last week was a great opportunity to shine a light on it and have it. And it's imperative that even these conversations right now that we're having right now is growth, and it's healthy. So thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.